walimu are they capacitated with this the use of technology, kwa ndo vitu ambavyo sisi tuviangalia, lakini mwisho wa siku is the solution, kwamba tunakuja kutafuta solution ambayo itawawezesha wanafunzi kuwa na uwezo wa kutumia technological devices, au mwisho wa siku kile tunachokiintend with the use of technology ndo mwanafunzi anaweza kukipata kwa urahisi zaidi. Ni hayo kutoka group number 1. Thank you very much.
Asante. Basi tuwapashie kwa 3 factorial. Asante sana. Any comment from EdTech or to EdTech? If you want to ask them a question or comment on anything, and they have said that they are strengthening numerous to youth, but also they are also strengthening the use of technology in schools.
Kuhusu eneo la technology, sababu kuna instruments na kuna learning. Sasa nilikuwa nataka kujua tu kwamba kwa kiasi gani wamezungumzia hiyo technology katika kujifunza. I'm not talking about the instruments. You can have the laptop, you can have everything. Lakini kwa sababu experience tunayoiona hapa wakati fulani, pamoja kwamba tunatumia technology, haionekani kama teknolojia yenyewe inatusaidia kufanya nini? Kujifunza. Sehemu fulani nilikuta mtu ana labda una print documents, yani inakuwa anatumia kwenye email una print, au kama jana slides zilikuwa zina nani? Zinateremka. Nani alikuwa mfano? Ya kwanza, slide ya pili, slide ya tatu na vitu kama hivyo.
Thank you. Tumeipata hiyo concern kwamba ni how much did you discuss or go deep into how technology is helping learning to happen? Like an example, like in most of cases they say like you might be interacting with technology but it's not helping you to learn. So I want just to get an idea of that. Thank you.
Asante Doctor. Okay. Asante. Najaribu kuangalia kama kuna mtu mwingine angependa kujibu, but the biggest thing kuhusu technology as itself on its own, sio a solution. It's a means to an end. Sasa the end ni nini? The end ni improve learning outcomes. Kwa hiyo using technology kama daraja, kama njia ya kufika kwenye solution ambayo ndio improve learning outcomes. Kwa hiyo ukiangalia Ubongo, Shule Direct and all other enterprises kwenye EdTech, hizi ni educational innovations. They're using technology kufanikisha malengo ya elimu, malengo ya kujifunza na malengo ya kufundishia. Ni the same way ambavyo ungempa mtoto kitabu, au ungempa mtoto metodile ya kwenye chemistry Bunsen burner mfano. Yani it's a tool ya kumfanikisha malengo ya kusoma. Na katika discussion yetu ile swali lilikuwa ni kubwa kwamba je, tunajuaje kwamba mtu akitumia SMS au mtu akitumia website au mtu akiangalia katuni anaweza kujifunza. That was a critical question katika our discussions. Of course muda ulikuwa ni mchache, lakini kwa kuna evidence kadhaa zilizotolewa, lakini the biggest proof or the biggest evidence kwenye EdTech generally globally ni kwamba EdTech imesaidia sana na inaweza kusaidia sana kwenye kusaidia mtoto kuweza kujifunza kwa personalized learning, kwa maana kwamba kuweza kujifunza kwa jinsi mahitaji yake yalivyo. Either ana mahitaji ya learning differences, au ana ulemavu aina yoyote, au yeye mwenyewe anataka kujifunza zaidi nje ya shule, inaweza kumsaidia kupata matokeo bora zaidi. Lakini pia it has a big impact kwenye inclusive learning, kwa maana kwamba kuweza kutoa elimu jumuishi. Na that was something which also came up katika discussion yetu na concerns na feedback kutoka kwa mmoja wa participants Noela.
Asante sana. Karibu.
Asante. Labda sasa issue kubwa inaweza ikawa na respond hapo aliposema, alipojibu nani dada Faraja kwamba tunajipangaje kuhusu e-assessment. Babu nyingi sana iko kwenye e-learning, lakini e-assessment sisi kama wadau tunajipangaje? Kwa sababu one of the failure ambayo mimi ukiniambia zile strategies zote ambazo zitumika wakati wa response ya COVID 19 baada ya closure ya shule nyingi zilijikita kwenye facilitated learning, lakini we were not so much sure kwamba kama wale watoto walijifunza. Na sasa hii inakuja kuwa ni sehemu ambayo we need to have that way ya sisi kama wadau tunapokuwa tuna design hizi strategies za kusupport digital learning, lazima tuje na mechanism pia ya digital assessment. Yule alijifunza kupitia SMS, lakini mwisho wa siku uweze kumfanyia assessment kwamba to what extent ameweza kujifunza 1, 2, 3. Lakini issue nyingine pia kuongezea, of course nishaje kujaribu kuongea na watu wa Tai. Wao wanasema kwamba digital learning inaweza ka address kwenye baadhi ya makundi yenye disability special needs. Wakasema kwa mfano wakajitetea wao, kwa mfano when we were using the radio we were able to reach wale blind lakini wakaweza kusikia. Lakini tulivyotumia TV tuliweka mpaka yule mtu anafafanua pale chini na nini ni alama, na hivyo mtu ambaye alikuwa deaf aliweza kufanyaje kuelewa. Sasa issue inakuja wale watoto wenye multiple disabilities, unakuta deaf blind, ambao ndio changamoto ambazo sasa hivi as stakeholders inabidi tuanze kuziangalia kwa undani zaidi, na hasa pia hata hizo digital learning tufikirie pia other categories za disabilities. Kwa mfano watoto wenye autism, twende kwenye dimension mbali tofauti, kwa sababu we stick kujaribu kuaddress hata kwenye issue ya inclusiveness kwenye makundi mawili tu, deaf peke yake au blind peke yake, lakini hatuendi kwenye hizo disabilities zingine ambao ukizifafanua kwa undani. Kutana kangu mmoja anaitwa Henry Cryer, akaniambia kwenye spectrum ya special needs kuna categories 56. Umeona, ambao ni changamoto kubwa sana ambao tunayo.
Asante, ameongeza swali na changamoto. Swali, how do we tell students are learning or youth are learning through technology? Lakini ya pili ni hiyo kwamba kwenye special need kuna a lot of groups ambazo zinahitaji kufikiwa. How do we reach to all of those groups? For the interest of time, maybe we can answer at least one question. Take those of disabilities as a takeaway and work with it. But for how do we tell learning is happening, maybe we could someone could respond from the EdTech team. Did you discuss any e-assessment, or are you planning for any e-assessment? Any institution? Okay.
Mwelewa bwana, unamaanisha hii inayokuja ya Nectar au unamaanisha kwenye platform zetu? Aha, sasa uzuri wa teknolojia kwenye majukwaa yenyewe, kwa mfano mwanafunzi akiwa anafanya labda maswali kwenye website au kwenye SMS, anapofanya maswali, the system itself is collecting data, so that goes into your dashboard as a user kama mwanafunzi, kwamba okay, labda ulianza unafanya maswali labda 10, maybe 10 quizzes, unapata labda 5 ya 10, then the system is tracking you at an individual level, kwamba okay, so what is your progress? Baada labda ya miezi 4 you keep on learning, we can track your learning progress, we can track your user experience katika platform. Baada ya let's say 6 months umefikia tu gani, maybe now unaweza ka score 7 out of 10. So that is quantitative na qualitative in a way, lakini tracked by the system. Kwa namna nyingi sana za kutrack learning outcomes katika digital platforms. Ni namba nitoa angalizo. Ninachohofia, na this is actually a common thing, kwamba tunataka tuchukue ile experience ya darasani, tunataka tu replicate online. An online learning experience is very different from a physical learning experience. Mwanafunzi anavyojifunza online tofauti na mwanafunzi anavyojifunza kwenye mazingira ya kawaida. Kwa hiyo tunachelea na hofia, yani kwamba tunataka to replicate the same experience. These are two different experiences, na hata the learning process, the learning measurements, the learning assessments should be very different. Na kibaya labda pengine mpaka sasa hivi hatujajua what exactly is working katika EdTech. Sio tu shule director au Bongo au Tanzania, globally hatuna evidence za kutosha. So I would encourage all of you kwenye CSOs ambao mna interest na kustudy his assessments, Gone included, please take it up as an initiative. Kwanza kuincorporate digital platforms, lakini pia kuendelea kustudy na kuassess katika namna tofauti. Lakini tu kumbuke kwamba these are two different learning experiences and you cannot replicate the classroom learning experience.
Asante sana. Sasa kwa wapashie EdTech kwa kurespond kwenye vari, na tutatumia utaratibu wa 3 exponent 3. Sana. Another group, data and evidence. Are we here? Can we hear at least a summary of what happens in the room? And yep. Karibu. Na sauti ya walimu kweli? Sogezee mic. Ile nyingine sioni. Kama iko karibu mezani jamani, tunaomba ile mic nyingine. Yeah.
Sawa. Kwenye group yetu tumejadili vitu vingi, lakini kama organization zinafanya vitu vingi na zinakusanya data nyingi, lakini hizo data hazifahamiki. Kwa hiyo lengo la kuwa na discussion ilikuwa ni kupata kuzidocument hizo evidence, ili zikiwa documented zifahamike na watu wengine kwamba tunafanya nini. Hiyo ilikuwa nani hapa. Lakini ya pili, tutatumiaje hizo evidence kwenye kusaidia serikali ili iweze kufanya mabadiliko ya sera, pamoja na au inapopanga sera ipange sera ikilinganisha na hizo evidence ambazo zimekusanywa kwenye mashirika tofauti tofauti. Kwa hiyo kwa kifupi ni kwamba tunachokifanya kama organization, each organization, kwamba kinachofanyika kiwe documented, na kikisha kuwa documented hizo taarifa zitumike kwenye ngazi tofauti tofauti za maamuzi. Nadhani hiyo ndio ilikuwa hoja kubwa.
Asante. Kuna mtu mwingine kutoka the same room anataka kuongezea kidogo? Ili tusikie kutoka 2 people. Yes, kwa jirani yako.
Yeah, lakini pia kama RELI tunatemea kuwa na library ya kwa ajili ya kuhifadhi data zetu. Yeah, nafikiri PHRC ndio wako wanaitengeneza, wanafinalize. Baadaye tutashare sasa kwa network yote kujua ni namna gani ndio tuna access hiyo library ya sisi kuweza kustore data zetu online. Yeah.
Asante sana. We've heard from data and evidence. Kwa kuwa na regional portal ambayo every organization watakuwa wanaweza kuweka data zao hapo ili kuweza collectively influence the policy. Na kama tunavyoamini mtu mmoja mmoja inaweza ikawa changamoto influence the policy, lakini as a team tunaweza kufikia hiyo level. Asanteni sana. Any comment or question from that group? Very few we are doing on the data and evidence, eh? Hakuna mwingine? Haya, kaka Ben, karibu.
Okay, asante. Labda ni reflective questions tu kwamba kwenye documentation ya evidence kwa ajili ya policy influencing, what type of evidence matters? So there are different types of evidence. Unajua hata case study ni evidence, hata research ni evidence, hata best practice ni evidence, hata picha ni evidence, na ni data pia, hata takwimu ni evidence, hata experimental research ni evidence, hata randomized control trials ni evidence. Ndio. So what kind of evidence matters in policy influence, and how should we invest to ensure that those type of evidence that we need, we get hold of them for policy influence?
Asante sana. Yes, Azaleli. Yes, karibu.
Asante. Nikuite nani? Boni. Okay. Asante sana Boni kwa swali hilo. I'll take it in English. So what we are doing as of now is we are documenting statistical evidence as of now. And most of it is documenting data and the evidence accompanying it. Whatever products came out of the data set, like the reports, the M&D reports, and such. And the purpose of documenting is that we are trying to push evidence-informed decision-making. And to get evidence-informed decision-making, we have to get everyone, in whatever they do, as a collective, to document the evidence in a standard format. We actually had a symposium where we came up with a checklist of the minimum standards, where we had 6 items that you have to share if you are to cooperate between ourselves. There are 6 items that we had a symposium and we agreed on. I'll share them with the rest of the team, maybe in a blog and a report. But we discussed that we have 6 items that you need for you to independently understand data for, say, from Uwezo. I think the perfect example is Uwezo. Whenever they share their data set, there are a number of things that you need for you to understand. That's the questionnaire, the reports, abstract, the anonymized data set, and a number of things. We also discussed, I think you've forgotten, data ethics, privacy, I think that was not mentioned, intellectual property, and the purpose. But the idea, the overarching idea is to use evidence to influence policy, which in turn is used to improve learning outcomes. So the kind of evidence to be documented at this point is statistical data. We are documenting data and the evidence accompanying it in the form of the learnings from it. That is the reports and the likes. We have, as of now, we are not documenting like photo, voice, and the transcriptions. But we are looking into ways of how to capture those, because there are also significant amount of data that is coming in the form of photo, voice, and the likes. The FGDs where you record them, the transcriptions, we are working on ways of how to capture them. But they are not part of the statistical data that we're documenting at the moment, but we are working on ways of how to document them. I hope I've answered your question, Mr. Boni.
Thank you so much from that interest group. Let's go to the last group, but not least. It was about what, Jamani? Oh, what? Oh, yes, ready parental engagement. Who want to go first? At least 2 people from that group. 1 minute each. 1 minute each. Who want to go first?
Asante. Kwenye parental engagement and empowerment tulikuwa tunaangalia REL framework kwa ajili ya kuwaengage wazazi na empowerment, ambapo tumeangalia kwa sababu tuko kwenye phase ya kwanza ya kutengeneza holistic framework. Kwa hiyo tulikuwa tunaangalia hiyo framework ina vitu gani, tukaangalia zile component. Lakini baada ya hiyo presentation pia tulipata maswali kwamba how can we make sure kwamba tunawaengage wazazi, ambapo tulisema kwamba sometimes you have to have a specific issue ambayo inawaunganisha wazazi. For instance, labda unapokuwa na madarasa ya TAL, at least pale unakuwa na common agenda kwamba ni madarasa ya TAL, kwa hiyo inakuwa ni rahisi kuwaengage wazazi. Lakini sometimes also you want to engage parents, unaweza kutumia influential people ambao wanaweza kaenda wakaconvince na kuwaeleza kwamba labda kuna issue gani shuleni ili wazazi waweze kufika shuleni. Lakini pia tuliangalia kwamba it's also good to make sure kwamba tuna link zile existing structures. Kwa mfano kuna kamati za shule, kuna uongozi wa kijiji, kwamba mnapokuwa na mmewajengea uwezo hawa watu wawili, inakuwa ni rahisi mnapokuwa na agenda shuleni, basi kamati ya shule inaweza kuwasiliana na uongozi wa kijiji, na uongozi wa kijiji ukaweza kuinfluence wazazi ili waweze kufika shuleni kwa ajili ya kuitika wito wa jambo ambalo mtakuwa mmewaitia. Lakini pia tulipata ushauri kuwa we have a lot of issues na nzuri, lakini ziko kwenye cluster peke yake. Kwa hiyo we need also to voice out, kupata maoni ya watu wengi zaidi ili tuweze kuwa na framework nzuri zaidi.
Asante. Tawapashia mwishoni. From the same group, any addition? From parental engagement? Anyone with an addition? So you've covered all. Any question or concern? Comment? From parental engagement, you can see there are around 3 approaches that they are using to ensure that parents are engaged. And if you have any addition or any question. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. It's not addition because we have just aired. We will make sure that we share a lot of issues so that RELI members can know this project that is coming soon. We are going to pilot it. Itakuwa moto kama live. Asante.
Asante sana. So if there is no any question or comment, tuwapashie hao wote ambao wameongea kwenye hii session kwa makofi 2.5, alafu tunawapa na maua. Sawa, nita demonstrate 2.5 maana yake going through different flowers. Haya, twende. In my count 1 2 3. Nusu? Watu wamepiga. Haya, maua. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, Rama, for taking us through the reflection from the breakaway sessions. I hope we are having more inputs and more learning from what has happened and what we need to build on moving forward. So now we're going to have one input presentation. I called it an input presentation on policy influencing, talking a bit on the tactics and technical know-how and how do we do that. We will have a practical experience from Bonnie. Bonnie was not able to join us yesterday. He was actually doing the same thing with government officials. So Bonnie, karibu. And you have 20 minutes to take us through that session, because after that, we're going into another very important session on starting visioning what we want in RELI. So Bonnie, karibu.
Asante Kapinga. Ndio ya data and evidence. Try to do a simple survey in this room the last 5 minutes and discovered that almost 60% of the participants ya washiriki hawako kwenye mkutano. They are on WhatsApp. They are doing their private activities. That's the power of data and evidence, ndio? Yeah, so it tells you something. Naomba kama unafanya kitu chochote, let's stop for a while. So, and then you have ample time in the evening to proceed. Kapinga, is it Kiswangisho? English? Okay, thanks. So, my session is on policy influencing. And the policy influencing in the context of RELI, because we have been in a journey for almost five years. And so I was asked by Kapinga at least to share what are the key tactics and the technical know-how of policy influencing. But I decided to craft my presentation in a way to have a reflection and to link it very well with RELI, so that we could be reflecting while also understanding the aspect of policy influencing. And at the end of the day, when we get into the reflection on how to strategize for another 5 years of RELI in the future, we could have something to amplify in policy influencing. Yes. Let me start by asking you. I think it was in 2018, as a RELI member, what we loved to see in 2022. Loved to see in outcome mapping It is the high impact we want to achieve. Which are the pillars of RELI? We envisioning to see RELI in 3 aspects. Number 1 was transforming organization. Number 2 was evidence generation, creating a knowledge hub. Number 3, policy influencing on thematic areas. The issue that we are dealing with have to be connected to policy change so that we achieve maximum impact. But if we are to ask today, where do we see, especially in Tier 3, on what we love to see? Have we influenced much in the policy aspect? I don't want to deal with the 2. If we are to ask ourselves, Leo, today, we wanted to see really influencing policy on teachers, on inclusion, on accountability, on value, life skills, and so on and so on. So do we see what we love to see in policy today? Have we achieved? So this is the question that I had with Kapinga. Because if we want to know the tactics, probably we have achieved somewhere, and we have not moved to a point that we wanted to be. And this is something now we need at least to start discussing today so that we can understand. And when we move from here, we get to be in a point to influence policy. In a policy influencing, there's one thing, and which you also need to ask yourself, TDS. Equity and inclusion. What have you influenced in terms of structure, in terms of policy, in terms of anything? Do we have something that we can showcase that we have influenced? There could be, but not to a point that we want it to be. In Valley, Khadija, is there anything tangible we could speak openly that we have influenced in Valley? Policy, structure, policy, guidelines, anything of a systemic shape that could reach many. So not to build a classroom. The voter. We have something in Valley we can proud of ourselves. But it is something with the nature of policy or nature of law, nature of guideline, nature of structure that we have managed as a group of Valley to influence the government change or stakeholders to change. Tedious. Madam President. We have something within tedious. Equity. Do we have something? Probably the group of equity and inclusion would say, okay, we played part in their development of the national strategy for inclusive education for free. And there are 3 things which actually we pushed, which are in cluster or goal number 3. That could be a way. So if we question ourselves and we start asking these questions, and if we know exactly that we did not do much, then this is the task and assignment from now, moving forward. Policy influence. We must have collected a lot of evidence. The TARI, the work, life skills, those are the evidence, those are the data. Transforming our organization, probably, Okode has been transformed. Grammy might have been transformed. They know themselves. HR, programming, learning, and so and so. But in policy influencing, that's why we want Mariam. Yes, those are the good hopes. They tried, they moved to a point, and they see the direction. But accountability. Do you have any evidence, anything that you think you have influenced policy? Coming up with a model of inclusive financing, pushing the government to adopt that. When they start budget allocation, then they adopt that model. Coming with a model to track financing. An inclusive education. Have we done that? Do we have evidence to substantiate that? Faraja, what is the missed opportunity for really not to be in a point to influence policy the way we want it? Faraja, what is the missed opportunity? What has been the challenge? Or what we don't know? Probably. Karibu. This could be here.
Thank you, Bonnie. I think, of course, really as it is, it's also a learning organization and we are growing. There's been several missed opportunities. I'll speak from TDS's perspective. I think, first of all, we underestimated how long it takes to actually create resources. So I think in terms of resources allocation, but also in terms of time management, I also think really being members resource driven in the sense that most of the activities that we had envisioned to do were driven by members' resources, whether it's human resources, whether sometimes it's financial resources. I think that really strained most of the initiatives. But I also think in the case of where we're working with other people, whether it's whether it's policymakers or whether it's other organizations, we kind of underestimated how long the process can take. And bureaucracy is not just within public sector, bureaucracy is also within organizations, within CSOs. So I think we also underestimated that. And I think the last thing, which was not a missed opportunity, I think something which we learned a bit late in terms of achieving our ambitions, was collaboration. We underestimated how powerful and how impactful we can be if we can collaborate more, and actually collaborating both within RELI but also with policymakers, like really being very proactive in creating the right collaborations.
Thank you. And those members who participated in the development of National Strategy for Inclusive Education in Arusha received a lot of greetings from Mama Matonya. I met her yesterday and she appreciated a lot for the support that you offered. So that was one way of the engagement, and which also Faraja is also supporting for that as well. Devota?
Hello. Okay. You can hear me? Yeah. So for me, I just want to reflect to Bonnie's questions. And sitting as a RELI member from 2017, you could tell there's a difference. And Bonnie, you've been doing this for the longest time. And you know, influencing policy is not something that you do in 1 year, 2 years. So rather than us sitting down and start asking ourselves where the evidence that we've influenced policy, what about we ask ourselves, what are the steps that we've made towards influencing policies? And also, ask the right questions that, moving forward, how big of a step do we want to take in influencing policy? I think those are the questions that we should be asking ourselves right now, rather than asking, where is the evidence? Because, yeah, we are heading there. There's an evidence that we are heading there. And we shouldn't disregard that we have taken a step towards what we want to do.
Thank you so much, Devota. So we start with the number one question. I think the first and the most important thing now, we should find the need, the value, the rationale for policy influencing. And there are a few things that, why do you need to do policy influencing rather than service delivery? Because if you do service delivery, you can reach only 10 people. And the rationale for doing policy influencing are those four, to me. you can add more. The first one is you want to attain systemic change. That's something that will be permanent. Something that will be in terms of the system, the structure. And it could be very useful for many students. It could be very useful for many children. Systemic change, it can be a policy. It can be something that will be established, the guideline, to support child protection. It could be the policy to ensure that you provide a certain fund to children with a disability, which could apply to all children with disability in Tanzania, rather than doing something on service delivery in Mbeya. If you do something as part of service delivery in Mbeya, you will achieve for few in Mbeya. But if you do for policy fluency and then you achieve a certain agenda, let's say, of coming up with a policy to provide special capitation grants for children with a disability, that will cater for all children in Tanzania. So it's effect. And if you understand that rationale, it will push you towards that area. Number three, consideration for public resources. Anything that you push in policy influence will have attention in budget allocation. Because if you have a campaign or you have something that you want to push, and if it gets to be in policy, it will be in plans. And when it is in plans, then it will go into the allocation of budget. Rather than spending more of your money to build a classroom. So you can help on your side and then you get the revenue from the government side to be doing that activity. I'll come up with a lot of examples. Number four, accountability for duty bearers. When something is changed, you hold them to account. And then as citizens, we will be able to demand explanation and justification from the duty bearer that you have this policy, you have this guideline. So we need you now to walk the talk, to implement this. So from my perspective, my understanding, I always consider those four things when I want to ask myself, why do I want to do policy influence rather than doing service delivery? Service delivery is good for my side, but I use it as evidence now for policy influence because it tells me what works, and then I take it for policy influence at the higher level.
What you're saying. So you're saying both are crucial, right? Service delivery and policy influence. But you should it's more, in your opinion, it is more impactful when you do service delivery for the sake of influencing policy. Tuko pamoja mpaka hapo? Kama nimekuelewa? And I'm reiterating what I've heard from you and trying to ask myself if that's correct. Is that correct?
No, the issue is, if you do tarry to 10 schools, and if you're able to help them to learn in 10 schools, you will not be able to tarry to all 16,000 schools in Tanzania. What you need to do now, that evidence that you have demonstrated works from the service delivery that you have done, take it for policy influencing, for scaling up from the government side, to be adopted in the government side so that it can reach so many children in Tanzania.
Yeah, so that's, I think, we have the same understanding. So would you, how would you term all those service delivery that you've done, and you have collected the evidence, and you have taken it to the right places, right? But the only thing that you're not seeing is kama ime contribute kwenye kuchange au kuto kuchange.
Tutafika huko, we'll reach there. Sawa? Tutafika kule. Nani, next slide. So the tactics in policy influencing. This is my experience, and most of them have worked. Which we need also to reflect and see if you can pick 2, we can pick 1, we can pick 5, so that in the end we can have the capacity to influence policy. And there are different ways to influence policy. Number 1, evidence generation. That is very, very important. Most of the organizations are struggling to change something, but they don't have evidence to convince. Evidence generation, I ask my question, what kind of evidence do you bring in? Do you go with the case study? Or do you go with the randomized control trials, the experiment? That you have piloted this in 100 schools. And then 50 schools were interventional. And then 50 schools were non-interventional. And then the results for intervention are this. And for the intervention are this. This is the research findings. It's telling me 1, 2, 3. And this is the nature of the problem. And this is the solution. So the first important thing, evidence generation, matters a lot. You want to convince the government that lack of sanitary pad is the big issue. You need to go with the evidence. One probably could be girls are missing 4 days in a month. Is that true? And then 2, it could be, listen very carefully, they miss 4 days in a month. You tell someone you want to influence. And then in a year, because they are studying 10 months, they miss 40 days in a year. Okay? And how many schooling days are in a calendar year? 190. What does it mean, losing 40 days in 190? That means they are losing 25 of their time in a year. What does it mean when they lose 25 of their time if the teacher is teaching algebra? And if you don't understand algebra in Form 1, for those who have taken mathematics, it will take a century for you to understand mathematics. Because they connect to other topics, logarithm, geometric progression, function, and others. And that's why other subjects in different subjects are very, very important. So once you tell them they miss 40 days in a year, which is 25%, then you can expand that evidence. Say, okay, how many are they missing these 40 days, which is 25% of their time? You look for evidence. You say, okay, according to the research done by Hakilim, 75% of girls are missing classes for lack of sanitary pads. What does that mean, 75% of girls? You can have a number then. Say, okay, standard 6 and 7 is 1 million, according to best data. What does it mean, 75%? 75% is 750,000. What does it mean, 750,000? Someone, if you don't know numbers, you can be given that number and then you don't understand the meaning of that number. So you need now to put the social maths. That's the way you need to communicate the evidence. What does it mean, 750,000? Okay, probably the Simba Day and the Younger Day, and the capacity of that stadium is 75,000. Which means you need to fill that stadium 10 times. You give something to the head of somebody. Hey, what weighing son? Again, if you speak to my mom, 750,000 will not understand you. But if you put the social maths, by giving that evidence and the way you communicate, at least you help someone to understand the magnitude of the problem and the loss that is coming and the value of the loss that is coming. You have given the 25%, you have given the size of the number, the population that is being affected, and then you can go further to say, how much do we need now to procure sanitary pads for these children? You go with your evidence. Okay, you can compute. Then, okay, how much do we need? We need this. Is that big enough? Kasungula is small. Kasungula is small. We can use here, here, and here. We can get this. You don't go to Tozo, because you had Tozo. That's the way you need to go with the evidence. Policy influence. Don't just go and claim. They are missing classes. They are missing. What should I do? I think you're connecting to how you need to generate those evidence, different levels. From the magnitude of the problem, the loss that is coming out from that problem, the population that is being affected, the solution that you are bringing in. Probably they could fear by saying 750,000 are missing. They need sanitary pads in a year. Oh, probably I could be needing billions of money. While in actual fact, it's not that billions of money. You also need to convince, to go with the evidence that it's needed only 5 billion. Where could you get this 5 billion? Probably here. Instead of procuring the V8, you can this year not allocate money for the V8, only 10 V8 or 20 V8, and then you get sanitary pads being procured. Number 3, understanding the process. I connect number 1 and number 2. It's important to understand the process. And there are different stages of the process making in any area of policy influence. For example, budget. You want to influence the budget allocation, and then you go during the parliamentary session when they are approving the budget. You are late. So in Tanzania, you should understand exactly when budget process starts. You should understand exactly when the policy in education starts. Where does it start? Exactly. And in Tanzania, November is when the budget process starts, when the government issue budget guidelines. Once that is done, and then there are other processes within interministerial level. So we need to know exactly when do they meet. And then after that, there are other levels, pre-budget approval, the parliamentary committees. When do they sit and where? And then after that, there is the budget committee that sits for the consolidation of all the budgets. And then after that, there is parliamentary sessions for the approval of the budget. And then when they discuss again, then there's the time the budget committee sits to consider the comments, the opinion that have been given during the parliamentary sessions. So you need to understand all this process. And don't just go straight. Bunge limeanza, the parliamentary budget has started, I'm going to influence the budget. You'll be late. But if you've taken your issue from the interministerial, and then you've done your tracking and it has not been considered, then you can go to pre-approval, parliamentary committee. You go with your evidence. Because the parliamentary committee will also meet with the ministry responsible for the vote. Once you tried to convince the ministry and then it is not accepted, they will meet with the same argument from the parliamentary committee during the pre-approval. Once that is not taken for consideration, then when they present, they can meet that during the parliamentary sessions. So at least there will be somewhere you can find a way to influence the issue that you want to pursue. Understanding policy dialogue structures. For example, in education, it's also important. You need to know, where do I go? There are structures within the education sector. There are technical working group of different areas. There is technical working group on resource mobilization, technical working group on assessment, there's technical working group on M&E, there's technical working group on financing. And they have a calendar to sit and have meetings. And then from the technical working group, there's Education Sector Development Committee. And then they meet quarterly. And once they endorse anything, then it's taken straight to the ministry for approval. So you need to understand all these dialogue structures. The last thing, collaboration. Most of the dialogue structures don't accept organizations that are coming in silos. They accept collaboration. For example, the opportunity for you to go into the dialogue structure in the education sector is through tenements. So if you go there as Haki Elim, you don't find a way to go. My chair, am I wrong? I'm now attending a meeting in Dodoma since last week, but I'm representing tenements. The task force to develop a certain guideline. But it's not Hakelim. I can say I work for Hakelim, but I'm representing TANMET. And I'm there for TANMET. Because of what? Collaboration. So policy influencing is very hard if you go as an organization. You need to find a way to join efforts. And for RELI, we have this opportunity now. And we have the space within TANMET as well. Key considerations now. We have discussed so many things, Tactics, stationary, but the voter pointed out is not a simple thing. It's not a one-day thing. Key consideration number one, you have to prepare yourself. It's not a one-day effort. It takes time, even 5 years, even 10 years. So we have to make sure that we consider this when we endeavor in policy influencing. Number two, then we have to be prepared for political directions. Sometimes you want to push something, but the direction for the politics is this side. You're trying to push something, but you don't see any political will. I think you can remember the issue of re-entry in Tanzania. During the Mwendazaki. We were trying to push for re-entry to connect from the fourth government, which was in favor of re-entry. Although there were processes that delayed. But the fifth government dismantled that completely. So it was very hard to push during those days. But the sixth government came in favor with the re-entry. So we have to be prepared for political directions. Number three, stand on what you believe because you have evidence. That's why I emphasized from the beginning. If you have evidence and you are sure that this problem is big, and you are sure that this is the loss, and you are sure this is the value of the problem when it is solved, then you are sure and convinced with your evidence. Stand for it. And your essence ya kuwa activist. Stand for it and make sure that you make it perpetual. I'll show you later the example of a very long policy influencing that we did. So if you get twisted, policy influencing, you're done. So you have to stand on your evidence because before you go to do any policy influencing, you gathered a lot of evidences. The numbers, the issue, the solutions, and everything. So you are sure of what you want to pursue. If you have evidence that when life skill is taught in classroom, there will be this impact. And it demonstrates exactly that this is the impact that has been tested, and I stand for it. Because it's informed by your research, by your experiments, by everything, then stand for it. That's the key consideration. That's why we have to be very sure and very factual in any evidence either we generate or we gather from different sources. You can go start doing your presentation. Your data is wrong. Your data is wrong because we have different data and your data is wrong. And you say, no, this is clear because check here, I've done triangulation here, here, and here. So my data, okay. That's why I emphasize you have to be sure. And don't cook. Don't cook. Some understand this. That's why when Yagerim is doing a research, we have to make sure that there is high level of credibility of data collection. You have to manage that exercise to ensure that people don't sit under the tree to fill in questionnaire. We have moved to higher level now using technology. Dada Faraja was saying, yeah, Faraja, I'm very fond of technology now, even data collection. Because if I want you to go to Njombe, and then the GPS will tell me you are in Njombe. Because policy influencing has to be informed by data, have to be informed by evidence. And the evidence have to be factual. That's why you need to make sure that any evidence that you have, any data that you have, it's a credible data. Capacity of evidence generation is important as well. We need to build capacity. That's an issue to many organizations, to many networks. The capacity to generate this evidence, the capacity to amplify this evidence sometimes, the capacity to prepare social maps for evidence. Someone can have a number. I can give you an example. It was just yesterday. We were in a group discussing, some. And then I found them struggling to get the number of children who did not return to school after reopening in July last year. No, 2020, after the COVID. And then they had a percentage of the students who did not return. You see? Then I asked them, what does it mean by saying 4% did not return to school? They say, it's 4% did not return to school. So this number, data, evidence enough to convince me to know the magnitude of the problem. So they asked me, so how do we get the number? You have said 4% of primary and secondary school did not return to school. Is that right? Yeah? So let's go to best. Take the number of students in primary, add the secondary, and then how many are they? 14. 14, eh? Okay, compute 4%. What does it mean 4%? 600. So this is the number. 600,000 of students did not come to school. So it tells you something. So we need to build capacity. Sam, we need your help, brother. Kapinga, we need to build capacity within RELI. So we can share, we can help each other in terms of the tactics, but there are other things that we need to build capacity. The good thing, we have other partners, the APHRC. It's doing a lot of capacity building in terms of data generation, research, and all that. We need to make sure that as RELI, this is the key consideration, capacity to generate this evidence. There could be a way, team up with us university. We have a Mukta in here. These are the researchers. They can help RELI to generate evidence. We could tap the capacity of Hakialim, tap the capacity of other organizations within RELI. Ensure that at least as RELI members, we are able to generate evidence. Another key consideration, tracking the policy influencing. It's also vital, it's also important. Because policy influencing is different from service delivery. And there are progress markers you would see when you're mapping your outcomes, your changes. You go, you meet with the ministry, they commit. Say, okay, we will do. After a certain point, they stop. And then you stop. If you stop, they stop. If you stop, they stop. But if you track, you remind. If you track, you see something has been included in a certain meeting. If you track, it can be taken forward as an agenda. If you track, you can see this has been. And once you track, you know exactly whether you're moving or you're not moving. You can reinvent the way or your approaches to make sure that at least you continue to draw their attention. Probably you did engagement to share. And then it has not been considered. You can move on now to continue with another campaign, public campaign. They could ask, well, they have gone down to the media. Then there's huge attention. We find a way on how we can call them and then see how we can discuss it. So tracking is also important because you know exactly, and you see the value of your efforts. Because your intention is to change the policy. But at least you are getting something to report. And they keep messaging you that you are moving to the direction. They have committed. They have said they are going to have a meeting. Your ultimate goal is there, but at least you have something to say that you are going in the right direction. The choice of allies and avoidance of enemies. See? People who are interested in your issue. And the issue of going to Dodoma and you meet with the members of the parliament or you invite the stakeholders, you have a big meeting, sometimes might not have effect to what you want to. So you need to do a thorough mapping. Just calling people, 100 people in a meeting, and they don't have interest in your issue. You want soda, you want sanitary pad for girls. And then you're calling big people who are interested in politics, big people who are interested in mining, corruption. It will not have attention to them. But if you call those who are interested in education and they have been thinking about things, then it could be quite useful. How can you do this? You can do mapping through parliamentary Hansard. It's Hansard to check MPs that have been speaking always on education. MPs who have been speaking always on issue. Then you can have people who are interested in your issue. Those are your support. Those are your allies. So when you bring the issue to them, then it could be a good chance for you to have support. Imagine you go and then you start convincing Zito Kabwe. By then, sanitary pad. Well, he has a big issue. You want to deal with big scandals. But if you go and then, okay, Pendo Peneza. You see? Pendo Peneza has been engaging in girls' education issues. Neema Nani has been engaging in girls' education, nutrition. So if you're a champion ECD and then you want food provision, those are the people that you need to map. Not just calling a big meeting, you don't know who is who and who can be in your support. Yes, same point was repeated. So these are the issues that I wanted to put as consideration so that you can understand. So I've decided again to give you this example of policy influencing, the journey that Hakelim went through in campaigning for re-entry. It is the journey that started 2008. That's when the re-entry was drafted for the first time. And it was through the evidence that was provided to the government officials that it works. It has worked by then, it has worked in Malawi and in Zambia. So government officials and the other stakeholders went to Malawi for learning. And then by 2008, then the re-entry policy was drafted. And then the guidelines were prepared on how to ensure the implementation of re-entry. They were prepared, but again from 2010 up to 2014, there was a huge silence. No one could speak about re-entry. And then in 2015, I think there were a lot of issues that we also did there. You could see CCM included that in the manifesto. And then in 2016, we did a very huge research, policy influencing, the Right to Education Index. Then there were a lot of issues and recommendations demanding girls return to school. And then we proceed with campaigns. And then 2017, our TV spot were banned by TCRA. We received a letter from TCRA, from ITV, that we have been told to remove your TV. You say they don't have any harm. Why can't we? The president has said, but no, remove them. Then Azam TV. You cannot remind, they returned a lot of money. Sand is here, the manager of media. Then we went to defend to the content committee, TCRA, to tell us why is it bad to broadcast this sport. Then the story we got from there, okay, now, no way out. It was in alignment with the political direction. The president has spoken, which was in 2017 after Hakilim campaign. Because we started the campaign in May, and then it was in September. Then he said, no teen mother would go back to school. Then we continue, we change the engagement, all the engagement in the others, and then we start to engage strategically. But it reached a point that even a word pregnancy could not be seen in any education document. Remember, I attended one meeting, and then there was a document that it was the guideline for inclusive education strategy. And then in the evening, there were a few words on pregnancy. And the next morning, we were told now, remove, don't use that document we shared with you yesterday. So we are sharing another document. Reached a point that pregnancy was a sin. And everybody was very fearful. But you could see the trend in the movement. And then from 2019 to 2020, 21, that's where it peaked. And then the support from the current government. Another direction, which actually came up with a decision to return teen mothers to school. So you could imagine the number of years. How many years? 13. 13 years. That means for Akielim, when it was Rakesh Rajan, Elizabeth Misokia, and Johnny Karage. So the three executive directors have gone through that campaign. See, that means I found it here when I was the program officer. You see? Program officer. I was the one that was generating the evidence, the social mass and everything. And then program manager. You see? And then the head of program. One campaign, the entry. It takes a long time. You don't need to get tired. But it's good. How many can now have access to go back to school? And by the way, it has also helped even not only teen mothers, but even those who are out of school. And do you know how many children are out of school? Age 7 to 14? Doreen? Approximately 3 million. 3? Yeah? 3 millions. According to the UNICEF data of 2018, I think. It's 1.4 secondary and there's 1.6 primary are out of school. Their age requires them to be in school, but they're out of school. So this means the policy is going to help many children of Tanzania. So what matters now is, as Haki Elim and other stakeholders, the Shure and others, to continue monitoring for the implementation of the guidelines. And also to continue another policy influencing, to inform the government on the gaps of the re-entry guidelines. You don't need to end when the government allows. You have to make sure that even effectiveness of the implementation of the guidelines is also important, but also addressing the gaps in the guidelines. Next year we're going to do the research, do the survey. How many have returned to schools? And why have not returned to schools? What are their choices for not return to school? And why they don't want to return to school. Karibu Faraja. They played a very huge role. Not only CSOs in Tanzania, but also CSOs in Human Rights Watch, development partners. And of course, for me, if you ask me, I think even the DPs and the CSOs, somewhere in the fifth phase, we stuck somewhere. But the context in the current phase was very useful for DPs and the other stakeholders to continue influencing the turning of the teen mothers. But World Bank?
My concern
Yes.
is why you have omitted that part, because I feel that that is a significant part of your journey.
And I mean, for this case, I wanted just to highlight my experience. But the experience also could be expanded when I wanted to add the stakeholders that were involved in this journey. Because I remember when Magufuli, government said no teen mother would come back to school, the next morning we convened a meeting with so many CSOs at Waweza. And then we came up with the press statement, which was signed by all CSOs. And then throughout, different development partners were pushing the government to ensure that girls return to schools. And you remember the issue of SEQUEP, eh?
Yes.
Went through difficult situations.
Boni, kwa nini nasema hivyo? Katika ulikuwa unaelezea mwanzoni pale kwenye the tactics, ulielezea kuhusu collaboration, lakini katika journey yenu hapo haujatuonyesha collaboration like clearly, yani haipo clear. Lakini mimi kwa mfano binafsi nilisoma report ya Human Rights Watch that came hapo 2018, which cited your evidence regarding re-entry, which cited your research regarding re-entry and the benefits of having children back in school. So I think kwamba kwa sababu umeshaingia kwa collaboration, ungeonyesha kwamba hiyo journey yako pia kuna mli-influence kwanza watu wengine pia kupaza sauti zao, lakini pia mli-influence hata DPs pia kutoka kuweka hiyo pressure. Since umeongea collaboration mwenyewe katika tactics,
Dada VV. Tutaweka baadaye.
CSOs pia, hata CSOs.
I think CSOs supported this campaign very hugely. And I cannot say it is Haki Elimu. It was done by all stakeholders that were playing part in this journey. Haki Elimu just contributed. And we cannot claim that totally, no. It is our contribution by this research, contribution by this campaign, a contribution by this, a contribution by this engagement. Although there were so many stakeholders that were supporting this campaign. If you remember, even the social media, the influencers, the bloggers, they said a lot about the ban. And that's why we have always been saying it is the contribution aspect. And it is something that takes a long time. And you can be frustrated, but you don't get to be frustrated. You have to be patient. You have to continue your journey that you have started from very far. I remember even my executive director, when joined Haki Elimu, I started sharing the handover. This is one of the issues that we have been taking throughout the year. And then we had to convince him. It's something that we should not stop. We have to go with it. When I moved to be the head of programs and then doing the handover to my manager, then I said, okay, make sure that you continue this aspect. It's something that is taking us a long way, and then we have to continue moving with it as well. One more question, Adija? I know, because you've been very attentive, yeah.
About what role did, because here we're talking about re-entry, and so we're talking about girls, and if and when and how the girls themselves, the voice of the girls, the people, human rights is about the human, it's about the person. So that it's just one question in terms of that, because it seems like it's also a silent voice in this whole process. And so I'm wondering what that participation or contribution of them themselves was, one. And then two, between data and political changes that you showed here, administration changes and political will, and your efforts, your push in terms of lobbying, and then the data generation. What of those things, of those components, I mean, I think you mentioned other things, but those ones are the ones that stuck out the most. Which of those do you think have the biggest role to play? You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you understand my question.
Looks to be a very academic question. Santa will respond the first one. And then because Santa has been leading the mean and the major media surveys, and in most cases, teen mothers were involved to voice up.
Okay, thank you, Bonnie. Maybe just to share a simple testimony or just experience. At Kilim, we work closely with the journalists to run what we call media surveys. And this, we actually train the journalists on the topic that you want them to survey, and we facilitate them to go to the program district to do an investigative journalism. And for the case of the reentry police, we felt that, yes, in the journey, we were missing the voices of the girls themselves. And so we wanted to bring the voices of the girls to the forefront as well, for them to speak for themselves and their stories to be published and be voiced through different media platforms. And so we had this media campaign using the journalists, where they went to 12 districts and they collected those girls' stories. And so for the media campaign, we don't want to put Hakelim's name in the media, but we want to put the issues that we want to advocate for. So there's a lot of stories that were coming from the fields, yeah, with girls, experience on the issue of being pregnant and what they want the experience to be like. See? So there's a lot of those stories coming from different parts of the district, but they were not attached to Hakelim's campaign. And so the government was able to also see this is not the issue that Hakelim alone is advocating for. So this is something that even girls themselves and other education stakeholders are pushing for. Apart from the media surveys, but we also worked very closely with the community radios in the program district. And so we were able to secure space in the community radios. And these girls themselves would go to those radio stations and hold radio talk shows where they speak about the challenges they face in education and, say what they want the experiences to be in schools and what they want the government and other key stakeholders to do for them to, exercise their right to education in the environment that they feel safe and friendly to them. So the girls' voices were there, but maybe you don't see them, coming up so clearly in the journey, but the voices were there.
Okay, you asked me a very academic questions. There are things that worked, but I couldn't be in a position to tell you which one actually mostly contributed. I could say whether it's the magnitude of girls that were dropping out. I could say the political context. I could say the joint efforts that were done by stakeholders. I could say the number of children who were out of schools. I could say rebranding of our name as a country. Those will also be very key factors to explain this. There are so many things actually. And now something that has happened, there's no way out. You can go back again to start establish in terms of its significance. Which one actually contributed substantially to this? Those factors, all stakeholders, CSO efforts played a role and a lot to contribute for the re-entry.
Thank you very much, Bonnie. I think we have a lot. We've been having a lot, and let's have a round of, how do we call it? Makofi? A round of? Yeah, Maggie, can you lead us into that? You haven't. Yes, please. Lead us into a round of applause.
Okay, I've been ambushed, but okay. Tuko pamoja. Okay.
Thank you very much, Maggie, for that. Actually, you're always ready. So thank you, Bon. As I mentioned before, this was an input session. That's why it wasn't participatory as it was. I've been working with Bonnie quite following on the engagement, his work on engagement and whatever. And of course, we have seen what Haki has been doing on the policy influencing their campaign in the media. They've been there for so long. So I wanted him to come and share this, share the story, the tactic, the technique, how they have been able to, survive into that space. Just he had 3 different executive directors passed through that process. So that's okay. Never get tired. That was the key message. And so this is all happening in RELI, right? This is all happening among RELI members. And we yet have questions. What have they, why can they do that? How have they managed to do that? Can't we learn from each other? Can't we actually do something into this? So why am I saying that? Because since we are in this journey together, I think there is way, way more advantage to continue working together and probably build on what others have done, what others are starting to do, what others are thinking to start doing into that space. So next, after this session is actually getting ourselves busy. So we have had a lot of sessions since yesterday. We have had a lot of experience talking about our journey. We have had a lot of sharing. We know now where we did well, where we did not do well, as TGs, as RELI, as individual organizations, and how we want actually to move forward. Probably we have ideas and we want to put it together. So we are going to now start visioning. We are going to start visioning the RELI we want. We're going to do that. So we're going to have a workshop. This will run for almost an hour and so. It can go up to 1 hour and a half. So be ready to stay here until probably 5:30 and not get tired. So what we'll do, our facilitator, it's a surprise. We have so many talents in RELI. We have a policy expert here. We have people in whatever. We did have so many things today. Even, how do you call it? Trying to imagine our values through an energizer. That was done by Safia this morning. That is thinking coming from RELI. So now I'll welcome our very own Khadija. As she's coming, please help me to welcome her. So, Khadija, I could say a disclaimer. This was me trying to imagine how to move RELI forward. And into that, I was like, someone who I talk always, and we always ask questions. What is that we're doing? I have so many questions from Khadija. I have had so many questions from Khadija, I could say. What is that we are doing? So we decided to craft something to ask everyone here. Not punishing. I'm not punishing you. So we want to do that together today. Yeah. So before we get started, we will start with an activity and then we'll move into that.
Okay. First, I think it's the afternoon and an hour after we've eaten, and I think we have just had a very, very intensive brain stimulating session. So I think we need to change the pace a little bit, and I would like to ask our friend from Uganda, Mr. Modern, to lead us in a little bit of an ice-breaking exercise. I remember Modern from the first regional convening. He was very entertaining, so I think you should be ready to be entertained. Mr. Modern,
I just would like to say that I met Hadija in Dubai, and she introduced me to her PS of Zanzibar as a comedian. So I haven't forgotten that. So thanks a lot, Hadija, and thanks a lot, Bonnie, for a great session. I've learned a lot. Thanks a lot. I'll give you a call after it. So in the spirit of thanking you for a great presentation, I did a song for you, which we shall actually sing for you. And I believe some of you know this song because I think we did it in one of those Kenya events. And I want to take you through. Then we'll stand up and do the singing, right? I take you through. It is afternoon and most of you are halfway asleep. So I want to run us through. So this is the song. He said he's coming from Dodoma and is actually going back to Dodoma. So I composed a song for the old man of Dodoma. And it goes like this. The old man of Dodoma has just come to town. The old man of Dodoma has just come to town. The wife of the old man of Dodoma has just come to town. The wife of the old man of Dodoma has just come to town. The daughter of the wife of the old man of Dodoma has just come to town. The daughter of the wife of the old man of Dodoma has just come to town. The dog of the daughter of the wife of the... Are we together? Stand up now. And it is ready at 5, meaning most probably we are in either P1 or upper class, kindergarten. So we sing as we clap, as we dance. We are together? I'm waiting for us to first move up and we do the action. You tell me when you're ready. You ready? 1, 2, 3, we go. The old man of Dodoma has just come to town. The old man of Dodoma has just come to town. The wife of the old man of Dodoma has just come to town. The wife of the old man of Dodoma has just come to town. The daughter of the wife of the old man of Dodoma has just come to town. The daughter of the wife of the old man of Dodoma has just come to town. The dog of the daughter of the wife of the old man of Dodoma has just come to town. The dog of the man of Dodoma has just come to town. The puppy of the dog of the wife of the old man of Dodoma has just come to town. The puppy of the dog of the daughter of the wife of the old man of Dodoma has just come to town. The bone of the puppy of the dog of the daughter of the wife of the old man of Dodoma has just come to town. The bone of the puppy of the dog of the daughter of the wife of the old man of Dodoma has just come to town. The meat of the bone of the puppy of the dog of the daughter of the wife of the old man of Dodoma has just come to town. The meat of the bone of the puppy of the dog of the daughter of the wife of the old man of Dodoma has just come to town. Thank you very much. Over to you, Hadija.
So was the introduction quite right?
Okay, so how do we feel now? We feel okay? Are we ready for another session? Another hour? So, yeah, Kapinga put me on this program and told me to talk about RELI and the strategy and the registration. And I think this is all very important, and there will be a time when I think we're in a good time right now. Really, we're celebrating 5 years old, okay, and Reli is celebrating registration. These are all very big highlights, and I think there will be time. Tomorrow we will be selecting our leadership, and I think at that time is when we will know what the next steps will be. It's not my job. I don't know what those next steps are. But when we get the right leadership, when we get the leadership in place, I think those questions will be answered. So for today, I really think we can take advantage of this time we have together, the space that we have together, and the day and a half or 2 days now almost of experience and learning and sharing that we've had, and take it and see how we can think about or reflect what we want to move forward. Okay? So we look back to move forward. We're in a very important time. We're in a transitional time. And so this can be the time when we can think about how we collectively project forward. You remember when a few years back, I think maybe either 4 or 5 years back, we came up with Reli and the Reli song, and how the Reli train was going to move from one stage to another, and then we were going to get on an airplane, and then we were going to fly. So I think we can all now take this opportunity to do the same thing creatively, collectively. Okay? So we're going to do an exercise that is going to have 3 sort of main components. The first part, Kapinga, where's the presentation? Can I have the presentation up? We're going to have first a reflection, and then we will have a co-creation. Okay? So before we get started, I would like for everyone to stand up because we're going to form into groups, first and foremost. So everybody stand up and start walking around. Start walking around. Walk around the room. Move around the room. And in 5 seconds, I want you to grab a pair, someone else that you don't know, that is not in your cluster. Someone that you don't know at all. Start walking around. Yani, you know them, but they're not in your cluster. They're not somebody that you work with normally. They're not from your organization. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Everybody should have a pair. Everybody should have a pair. Everybody should have someone that they have partnered with. Are we there? Does everybody have a partner? Okay, now, the 2 of you. Okay, yeah, you can say hi to your partner. Say hi. If you don't know their name, ask them their name. Okay, now, we. Okay, tushapata partner wetu, tushapata partner. Now, I please work with your partner to find another pair, a new pair, in 5 seconds. 5, move around. You have to be moving. 4, 3, 2, 1, a new pair. So now we should be 4. We need to be 4 now. 4 people. Do we have 4 now? Okay, now the 4 of you need to walk together. Walk and find another group of 4. Keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. What's happening over here? Are we groups of 8? Okay, this is a group of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, what's happening? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. 2 groups. Okay, everybody find a table. If your group is formed, go find a table. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What happened to you? Do you have an... Okay, Faraja, you're in that group. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. Okay. So we have 4 groups of 8, no? 1, 2, 3, 4. So every group, please find a table and sit. Any table, find a table and sit. Yeah, just one. Okay, so like I said, the first part of this session will take about 10 minutes, and we want to do some reflection. There's so much information that we've gotten, but then most of us have been part of RELI for so long. Every so often, it's important to stop and reflect. And at 5 years, this is the perfect time. Okay? So we have reflection, and the reflection is going to be around just a few key questions. Okay? Mainly around what we have learned and experienced over the past 5 years. If you are new to RELI, and if this is your first time in this group, then I think you can listen more. Maybe you can ask questions and contribute that way to the conversation. But we have 4 main kind of question areas that we want to reflect on. What have you learned about RELI Tanzania when it comes to its impact? When we first started, we stated that we wanted to have an impact as RELI. Okay, that was a question that's sort of that Boni asked us. But in general, overall, what have we learned about RELI Tanzania when it comes to its impact? Okay? The next question, what have we learned about the issues and challenges in education in the RELI Tanzania space? Key learnings, key things that have come out, especially in the conversations that we've had and the discussions that we've had in the last 2 days, but also in the experiences that we have had. 3, what have we learned about RELI Tanzania's core functions and activities, how we have operated, how we have worked, the structure that we've operated under, but the activities and the core functions that we've done over the past 5 years. And then our principles and values, the learning based on our principles and values. These are big questions, but I want us to try and scratch the surface. We don't have to go deep, okay? We scratch the surface. We pull the things that come to us immediately, not the things that have to be so deep and, that we don't need to hurt our heads. Like I said, this is the beginning. This is what I think will help us get in the direction of going towards our strategy that will be developed down the line. Right now, we want to just scratch at the surface on some of these things that we've experienced over the past 5 years. Tuko pamoja? Are we together? Yes? Clap 1 time if you're with me. Clap 2 times if you're with me. Okay, tuko pamoja. So this is a reflection, 10 minutes, just as a way to help us to begin to think about the next part. Okay? So please take the next 10 minutes in the group. These are the questions that we want to think about. What have we learned about RELI's impact, the issues and challenges that have arisen when we have been implementing what we have been doing, the core functions, how we have been as a network, and our principles and values, what we've stood for, what we've stood on. Sawa? Okay. Time is starting now. Please take, does everyone have, every table have a piece of paper? Tunaweza tukaandika tu popote, but this is just really jotting down, but you can choose one piece of paper on your table and have someone kind of jot down the answers to each of the questions. So we have a secretary, yeah? Yeah, we just use one of the pieces of paper that are on there, as well as, any color. Just reflection. Okay? Did you understand the question? What's the impact? What is really what's the impact? And how did it achieve that impact? That's the question. Mr. Grace, I think this is something that you can speak to. Ah.
Okay, we have a couple of minutes and wrap it up. We don't have to say a whole lot, and we're trying to work from the experience that we've had, what we've gone through, and what has come up.
Nataka mimi nitoe experience kwenye hiyo. Baba Boni amesema kwamba mkurugenzi ame-appreciate kazi tuliyofanya. But she was also challenging kwamba kufanya tulifanya na hao serikali. Strategy. So, naona kwamba it seems labda serikali yenyewe kwa yenyewe haipeni taarifa. Kufanya na watu hawa wa serikali, watu wengine wa serikali wanakuambia hatukuwa na taarifa. So there is a challenge in communication. Hata pia nishaniambia.
Okay, one more minute and then we wrap up. Kwenye challenge.
Hello, are we done? I suppose we are done. We are now moving to the next step or exercise. We're doing stop. we are moving to a next step of our exercise. Please stop what we are doing. It's no longer important. We have discussed it a lot. So now we're going to do another exercise. This is now very important. So what we need to do in each group, we are going to build a robot. We're going to build a robot. Does everyone know a robot? Robot like a robot that walks like a human being. So that robot has a head, has the chest and the hands, and then it have, what is this? Yes, and then it has the legs. So the head is what is relative vision in the next 5 years. So you need to build the head of the robot. And then we have the heart, the chest. The heart is capable of actually, all issues goes to the heart. The issues that really should focus. So that now should be the heart of the robot. The hands. These are the core functions. If you want to do anything, your hands will do that. And then we're going to have the legs. These are the principles that you stand on for you to walk. So our robot will be functional. So each group will be doing the whole robot. 2 people per each part. 2 people per each part. So 2 people will make a head. 2 people will make a heart, the chest, of course. 2 people, hands, and 2 people will do the legs. So how do we want it to be? We'll have papers, we have colors. So that's why I said some have started to use the tools without telling them what to do. Some were writing using the colors. We didn't tell you what to do with the colors. So you started decorating your points using that. That was not the purpose of the colors. We have more papers. So what are we going to do? 1 paper per each part. You draw it. You draw the head of the robot in this piece of paper. You draw the head. And then someone else will draw the heart in another piece of paper. And then someone else will draw the hands and the heart in another piece of paper. And then we will connect the papers to get the whole robot. Tuko sawa? So you see the robot. So you can use colors. So kila part of the body, 2 people. So agree among yourself. Who is doing the head? Who is doing the chest?
This exercise, we want to try and use both sides of the brain. Be creative and also critically thinking about and reflecting. Sawa? We want to use both sides of the brain, the right and the left. Be creative and also critically reflect on what we want to do. This is, we're building, yes. Yes, you can think about how you want to depict that vision in your head, right? Or you can draw the head and then write the things that you want, or you can make the things, the vision is the hair of the whatever. Creative. Be creative. Open yourself and try and think creatively. So creativity is important, okay? It doesn't have to be accurate. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to reflect and be and think about. So we've just thought about the issues. We've reflected a little bit about our impact. We've reflected a little bit about our values and our core functions. Now, what do we want to see in the next 5 years? Okay, so this is the exercise that we want to do. It's have fun doing it. Okay. Kwa hiyo tunachora pamoja na kureflect yale ambayo tunayafikiria kutokana na hiyo part of the body, okay? Drawing is good. No, it doesn't have to be like that robot. Forget about that robot. That robot is just a do your own. Use your own colors. Kama mnahitaji rangi zaidi, rangi zipo. Grayson naona wewe unakuja. Sasa kuna mtu atakuwa hana mtu. Okay. Sasa nyie mna lakini tuna reflect, tunafikiria katika hicho kichwa, tunataka kuweza kudepict what really impact will be in the next 5 years. What do we want the impact to be in the next 5 years? Considering what impact we've had, do we want to change it? Do we want to continue the same impact? Do we want, and how does it go? How will it go? Okay, are we almost done?
So we have 6 minutes working to that. 6 minutes. Of that kind of
Okay, how's the robot coming together?
Yes, we are quite done. So, we are up. So we're going to join our robot. Hello. Melissa. Naomba kukuletea. Sasa tuna dakika 3. We have 3 minutes to join the robot together. You have a masking tape on your table. Join your robot. Join your robot. The head, the heart, the hands, the legs. Join your robot. Be creative. That's quite creative. Please use the masking tape. Join it so that you can visibly show it. Join it so that you can visibly show it. Be creative. Be creative. Yeah, we haven't gotten a sponsor yet for an award who has done the best, but we are looking for that. 3 minutes. 1 minute to go. Join it. 1 minute to go. You done here? Can you show it like this? Okay, good. We are looking for a sponsor for a gift. Are you done? Oh. So this group, you can actually project it right there at that post. No, here at this post on this side, and then you'll explain it. Pandisha you put it a bit high, and then you'll be able to explain your robot. And then this group, when you are done, put where can you visualize it? Right there or here? Right there. Put it right there. Or you can actually put it here. Please do. Are you done? So you can put it here. You guys, yours is. You can use that flip stand because I see it's quite wide, so you can probably bring it here. That one. Nyinyi mnaibandika wapi? Ibandikeni pale. Tunaweza kuiona wote? Okay. You guys have done quite a nice job, huh? Okay. Yes, are you guys done? Please come and project it here. Oh, can we do something with the lighting people here so that they can post it here? What do you say? Okay. So that others can also see. Just move this slightly. Yeah, this one. Would that affect your lighting? No, okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, please, time is up. Come and post it here. Oh. Joe, wake up. That is now the inclusivity and everything. Don't bother about it. Yeah. So are we done? You may actually need to bring that here or here so that can you be able to explain quite, yeah. Bring the flip chart stand here so that we are at least in one space. One, yeah, everyone. Yeah, and I show like just a minute. I say, mlete hapa.
Johnny mwone roboti wa mfano hapa. Huyo hapa. Huyo sio roboti, huyo mzungu huyo.
Sasa wewe yule nani?
Yule pale. Sogea karibu.
Hamna kitu. Yaani zile tables. Okay, move aside a bit.
Wale watu wawili wamefanya mikono karatasi moja.
So everybody please take a seat where you can
Tunaomba kupata nafasi ya kusikia presentation ya kila.
Sasa naomba tukae maeneo ambayo tutaweza kusikia na kuona. Kwa mnaweza mkakaa hapa ukiwa unaweza kuona. So hello Grayson, asante kwa kukaa kimya.
Jamani, naomba tu focus kidogo. Haya, tunawapa robot ya kwanza huku. Tutaomba robot hii, naomba attention yetu iwe hapa. Wapate kutuelezea kidogo kuhusu robot wao.
So let's take a seat somewhere closer as we listen to this. Who is ready to start? I don't want to say that this was the first, but okay, you want to start? Okay, good. Who is ready to do? So what you will do now is to tell us shortly what is this thing in terms of what we have talked. 1 point per each, right? Don't like mention everything. Okay, this represents this, for example, 1, 2, 3, right? Okay, and of course you can mention how are you able to join the pieces and whatever. Okay, karibu.
Lete robot. Okay, this is our robot, and a very African robot, so mzungu yule wa Simba. And what we have been envisioning for the next 5 years is to be a leading network in promoting quality, equitable education in Tanzania. And we think we are going to do that in terms of what should we focus on in order to reach that vision. More of capacity building, but also generate more evidence, but also leverage on each other's potentials in terms of we as members of RELI in order to build on what we're doing. But also, we've been talking a lot about, what we do, but with us, we feel that it's high time to communicate the impact and disseminate this evidence that we've been working on for the past 5 years, moving to the next 5 years. But also, we really need to join our forces together for policy influencing. We've been giving examples of approaches like teaching at the right level, the assessment of life skills and values that we're doing. So we're really looking forward that we as members of RELI put that into practice collectively and influence policy. So we are going to have a larger evidence based on what we are going to do on these activities that we have. But also now, what are our core functions? We feel that we will remain with the very core functions that we have had in the past, because we feel until now we have made a milestone to somewhere, but we really need to get that going further. So we will continue to transform our organizations, generate more evidence of what is working, but also use this evidence for policy engagement and influencing. We have started to put the engagement first before influencing, because we understand that it is very important to engage in these processes from the very first beginning, then come to influence. But also, we thought that now what are the values that can hold us together to reach that vision for the next 5 years? We feel that
the very same values that we have had for the past 5 years will be very, very relevant to continue getting us further to where we want, including real collaboration, continuous learning, trust, equity, empowerment, and respect. Mlete roboti. Mlete roboti.
Okay, you already congratulated yourself. Good. Where are we heading now? At this time, I'll give some.
We si hatuongei sana ila vitu viko hapa. Hatutafuti spare parts jamani. We are brainstorming. Okay. All right. Yeah, so here is a presentation of what this group envisioned for RELI. Yeah, when you look at this very beautiful individual here, you have to zoom it. Please zoom it. Yeah, the first thing, as you can all see, according to the guide that we had, this head is the one that will guide a Tanzania. RELI is actually focusing to have a Tanzania where all children receive quality education regardless of race, color, creed, ability. Ukiangalia hata hapa, the way we just labeled this individual is just a mix of, you can even tell gender here, okay? That means everybody is included, okay? Sawa. Moving on, this very important part, ambayo ndio itakuwa katikati ikishikilia all the RELI core functions, okay? According to the guide. So what we is really focus and we think we envision to continue doing is learning and sharing things you have seen, but we continue want to do this. Creating evidence, this one for advocacy. Influence policy, that's what we continue to do. Extend its funding streams. You know, we cannot, it's like the heart of it. We need resources to move, right? Yeah, and then joint networking. This is a network, and we continue making those little networks and merging with the bigger networks. Now we have released, registered. Now, this is the core part. But then moving on down here, then we come to this part which has hands. You know, hands are the ones that do, right? This is where we have those very important principles. No, not principles. Hii part ni ya naona pale imeondolewa. Yeah, so what really make us move forward is because we continue to do training. Okay, we share best practices, we build capacity, right? So, advocacy is still at the heart of RELI, okay? It's still what RELI should continue to do using these equitable hands, okay? You see, this is a girl's hand. It has some nails polished. This is a boy's hand. It's still equity throughout this drawing. So we'll continue to do advocacy, research to get the evidence, and continuous capacity building to all the members. Haya, let's move down here. Sasa huku chini, yani huyu bouncer kama ni bouncer au yoyote she is anashikiliwa na huku chini. Sawa? Kwa hapa chini we have the core principles, the values. Sawa? So sasa matege yana maana yake. Okay. Now listen, okay? Whatever you see here has its logic, okay? Yeah, so the first thing, we need this part to be very strong to carry out this whole body, so as to make sure it is all empowered throughout, okay? So that is empowerment as the first principle and value. But then we need to have equity. Mnaniambia ana matege huyu, lakini we are trying to make sure all are included, right? All are included. That's why you see equity in the center. Yeah, so equity like all sides. Yani mtoto yoyote mwenye disability, asiye na disability, ana uwezo wa kuwa assisted, okay, with RELI. But then again, collaboration. You know, you cannot move together. They say you can go fast, you can go alone and go fast, but if you want to go further, we have to move together, right? Mguu wa kulia ukienda mbele, ukipisha ndio wa kushoto unafuatia, si ndio? Yeah, huwezi ukasema una step zote at once, you'll be jumping, right? That's why collaboration is here. Hata miguu inatembea kwa kushirikiana. Yeah. Kwa hiyo hizi values ndio zinasaidia tuelekee kwenye reli vision. Sio matege. This is where the vision is.
Thank you. I think Okay. So we are doing well. I think everyone has got it. This group has got it. That group has got it. So we want one more group. Be brief. 2 minutes. Karibu.
Come and see the little robot, eh? Hello? Now, come and see the real robot. You were going around seeing the pictures of robots. This is the real robot. I would like to present to you Mrs. Really robot. Okay. What we visualized is quality education, Windows 10, 5G. You know where we are going, eh? We are going to technology. Okay, and then what we are carrying in heart as Lely in 5 years to come. Policy influencing, evidence generation, innovation and scaling up best practices, capacity building of Lely members, but also for those who we are working with, like government and other people, children, all of them, capacity building. And then in our hand, we are holding something, transforming individuals and organizations who are members of Lely, but also individuals as members and the people we are working with, but also advocacy and awareness and building inclusivity. So those are in our hands. And what we stand for is collaboration, trust, equality, equity, and accountability. We welcome you to come and take a photo.
Okay. I could say I love it. But let's finish with that first. Well, okay, we are going to the last one. Huh? Hello, move this way. We have another one. So, Benjamin, who wants to go? Are you tired of listening to the robot? Please come. And actually, this is the winner. If you want to know why, come closer.
Yeah, so we are very happy to hear that we have a lady robot, and this is many robots, so we can have marriage as we finalize this workshop. So starting from our robot here, the head, we are talking about equitable access to quality education for all children in Tanzania. So this is our focus for the coming 5 years on the equitable and access to quality education. But when you come to the main body of the robot, we are going to deal with correct data or evidence to influence policy. As we have heard from the presentation by Bon, we need to have evidence, and we know most of our organizations, they are doing different kind of work. So we are going to correct, and this has already started, I think. And then we have to do advocacy. We join our hand as the network so that we can do advocacy based on the data and the evidence we have. But also we need to influence budget allocation on gender. This we are focusing on the coming 5 years and inclusive. So we need to do some more influence on the budget allocation. But also we need to do capacity building for Lely members. We need to build the capacity. No, we in Lely member, we differ. The organization, we differ in capacity.
capacity, we differ by size, and even the ability to do some kind of influence. I think all of us we know, is it? And then also we have to increase member base within RELI. We have so many CSO in Tanzania, but we need to have some more member coming in, at least to have more power. And then we need to have to do a networking from local and international organization. At least we have to keep in some more international organization. This will help us to have more power, but also even in fundraising, as one of the robot group they said. And then when going to the hands, we have the issue of policy influence. And for the policy influence, we are talking about we need to have, focusing on 5 years to come, we need to have some key policy issues which we need to address. And then we have another issue of the correcting of evidence. This has been spoken. And also we have the knowledge hub. Knowledge hub that through RELI, we can have different organizations running from each other, but also we can bring in some other organization from international to capacitate our organization. And then on the legs part, on the RELI values, we have the respect. I think all of us we know. We have trust, empowerment, learning, collaboration, and equity. At least we can go across all the values. Thank you very much.
The legs looks good, right? And the head. And the hands. And okay, good. Okay. Okay, thank you. Yeah? A sentence. Okay. Well, thank you very much. We'll go ahead. Come closer. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Hello? Hello? I want to observe something. I know it is fun, it's what, but it's very, very important. And we know that in RELI we learn, and we have to reflect to learn. So I want to reflect something that I've observed in all groups, and this is wonderful. All of us have the same vision. I've noticed it. All the groups, the vision is the same. It's about quality, equitable education in the next 5 years. Congratulations.
Asante sana, Sister Grace, for that brief reflection. So now, we want to move to the next step of our exercise. We haven't done yet. I asked you to stay up to 5:30, and that was not a joke. So now, you have noted that I'm not someone who jokes with time, right? Okay, good. So now, those who did the head, 2 people who did the head per each group, raise your hand. Who did the head? I said 2 people per part. Those who did the head. Those who did the head, please, here. Those who did only head. In each group, come here. So I'll need 8 people here. Those who did the head. Those who did the heart. The heart, right there, closer to the studio. And those who did the hands, please, right here where Dr. Mena is standing. And those who did the legs, right there where Noela is standing. Are we all in our locations? And Hadija will take us in the next step.
So okay. Like Sister Grace said, we actually came up with not only the same visions, but even our core functions, the issues, and the foundations, the principles that we stand on. They're similar, but we still have 4 robots. And we can't walk out of here with 4 robots because RELI is 1, right? So we want to come, each of these parts, we want to come together so that we can create one RELI robot, right? Now I want us to challenge ourselves a little bit to see is what we came. A lot of this is where we've come from. So is where we've come from exactly where we're going, right? Is it exactly this same thing that we have that we're taking with us forward? Just ask yourself that question as we are now working on each part of this body to make that one RELI robot. Okay? So let's take that next step and then we can finalize. Everybody please come to your groups, sit down in your groups, and we will bring these flip charts and we will draw one head for the heads, one chest for the chest, one set of hands for the hands, and one set of legs for the legs. Okay?
Is that clear? Yes, please, let's do it. Be creative as usual.
Like the other
No, so we are dealing with one functions, yeah. Yeah, so heads wanafanya without the heads.
So here,
of course, although we can try to see what you can draw and what you can
draw a head, all heads go together. All the heads go together. All of the legs go together. All of the hands go together. All of the chests go together. No. Hizo tunaziacha. We are using a brand new paper. We leave those ones alone.
Where's the head?
We're working with a brand We can tunachora na tunaandika, lakini sasa tunachukua yote yale ambayo tumeyafanya, lakini tunakuja na moja ambayo ndio itakuwa tunakubaliana. Je, mtafanya nini? Mikono. Kwa hiyo now take off, you come from the different groups. Now come up with one that is agreed on together collectively. This is what we agreed. Our main 4 functions and activities that we're going to do in the next 5 years. Okay, so we're bringing together so that we can make So we bring all of the issues. So when you what are the main issues that we really hard to in the next 5
teach. Yeah, but what I think, kama 5 years to come, what are the key issues kwa sababu we as a nation ambacho tunapofanya implementation hatuwezi kutoa nje sana ikazidi kutunganisha kama ambapo tukisoma kwenye zile nani mbalimbali wale pale wanaongea training, advocacy, research, capacity building, How wanaongea habari ya transform organization, generate evidence, policy engagement. So unaona kuna point of overlap.
Basi ungefanya kama like data collection. Unasema pale imetokea training au capacity building. Ilotokea peke yake ndio
a bit more narrow focused, kwa maana ya kwamba katika policy hii is not right sector. Sasa ni kwa policy engagement na policy kwa hivyo kama the last 10 years tuko all over the place in terms of policy engagement, and tie how tunapoketi nao kwenye alive life. Tell you how we go from the different angles with TCPD. Tell you how we go to different angles with our stories, with various issues. So I think in the next 5 years, we need to be very specific. As one capacity building, what exactly advocacy, what exactly without going in coconut, any clarity, but here too general.
So ile ya kwanza kwa mfano tukianza na policy influence, for sure lazima tuenda nayo for the coming 5 years. But how are we going to think about it? Kwa mfano sisi tukasema cha kwanza tufanye ku identify key policy issues ambazo tunafikiri really can take it forward. Key policy issues to identify. Key policy issues ya moja mwisho wa siku imeenda.
Ikiwa key policy issue labda moja language of instruction, accountability na wanaangalia chao, hapo inakuwa labda key issues
which is okay. Na kumbuka pia Maria, tunaposema key policy issues, you need to do research. Lazima uwe na evidence.
Lakini kuna vitu vingine vina imagine mfano. How do you deal with that?
Ninapodhani mimi personally wameelezea ambavyo kama influence policy what there's already a policy existing au is in the process of being created. What's not kinyume na so policy, yes, policy custodian of course ni wananchi na serikali ambayo inashikilia. Kwa hata sisi pia kuangalia strengths zetu kwanza kama members, yani maeneo gani ambayo sisi tuna uwezo wa kuona evidence kwa influence policies, lakini pia serikali yenyewe pia sisi kwenye mlengo gani policy direction, lakini pia pengine labda kama hawana hiyo aspect kwenye policy direction sasa hivi, how are we going to use our evidence to sawa na hiyo policy to change it or to improve it whatever they can. Lakini this aspect nzima ya REL to base kwenye members strength down policy education and tayari wanaweza kugenerate evidence. Sababu shida kama ile evidence basi tunaweza kufikia can have advocacy as a activity, you know, hakuna evidence.
Na katika vitu vingumu ambavyo tulikuwa kufanya kwa na hizo data za kuaminika.
So we have 4 minutes working to that.
Maybe just to add on that, unajua sisi kama this is a network, and it is not necessary kwamba really as a ready corporate evidence from far. We are talking about digital evidence. Because this is a network, we have issues, maybe we need to understand policy issues kwenye digital evidence. We ask Shule Direct, what are the issues? How wanatupa evidence? Kwa sababu sisi network, and then we take it as a network. Hiyo inakuwa ni rahisi.
Kwa hiyo hatuwezi implement miradi.
Sisi wenyewe kuwa kama kwa sababu inabisi, kwa sababu inabisi, watu wanafanya hiki, kumbe mtu anakalima kwa wote na mtu akazi. Kwa hiyo kuna lot of communication within the network. Bayo ungeweza kupunguza
na shida nyingine kama loko naeleza Faraja, issue ya reli kutegemea evidence from member organization ni more effective kuliko reli kama reli yenyewe kutaka kwenda kutafuta, kwa sababu it will reach a time kwamba wanaenda kufanya kazi za organization. Sasa ndio kunatokea pia hata conflict of interest.
Kwa hiyo ongeza evidence.
Yani yenyewe kama network. Kwa mfano wanauliza, jamani, kuna policy issues juu ya mambo ya use of technology in rural areas. Reli kama reli haiwezi kusema twende tukapeleke learning devices maybe in rural areas. No, tunatumia shule direct kwa advocate, lakini sisi tunasimama kwenye ile top.
Sasa unajua kwa kweli naona experience ya sisi tukafanya kitu fulani na wao wakafanya. Unaona hiyo conflict pia inatokea. Ndio tutakuwa na kitu kwamba labda be very specific kwamba tunataka kitu gani. Hiyo wale wengine watafanya. Hata kama wakifanya wafanye kwa ajili ya wafanye kwa ajili ya network.
Hata wengine pia the next 5 years isianze upya. Next 5 years for anything about you for the last 5 years. For come let's say work the last 5 years. Yes. Use the same manuals may work in the last 5 years. So you can go the process. It took 13 years. Which means that if you want to influence, let's say, the tool that you want to influence means what not has been done before. For the last 5 years, become professional of the next one. So I think my policy influence,
Lakini policy influence
hivi mnachochora mnaenda kubandika kitu na watu wanabandika mikono miguuni, yani mnafanya roboti moja.
Policy influence depending on the evidence from really members.
Now what if really members wote hawana capacity to produce data? What do you do?
Hiyo capacity. Kwa mfano,
member organization wote wako si hapa kwenye network, kuna capacity tofauti. Wengine wana more fund, wengine hawana. Kwa hiyo yawezekana data zika pengine siku za haki elimu tu au za shule direct tu, wengine
sasa lakini inabidi
how do you do it?
wale ndio watafanya wanacho capacity
walionayo.
We have to organize kwamba wote kwa hiyo kila mmoja lazima tu organize strength ya kila organization.
Unajua pamoja na present alisema kitu
ile collaboration.
Zile data zikiwa haziaminiki fulani, labda mmeelemea rural areas peke yake. Kumbuka panda decide kitu hivyo. Sasa kwa sababu organization zetu zina base somewhere, naweza mimi nikakusanya data ba wale nilipo tu sio ile.
Tunapokuja kwenye capacity building, kwa mfano sisi ni network, tunahitaji tuwe very strong. Tunahitaji tuwe very strong kwenye kupata evidence. Tunakuja kuingia
1 minute, let's go.
Yes, lazima ufanye standard 1 to 3. Kwa hiyo na
does that become a key national institutional / administration?
Hii
Kwanza
hapa.
niandike
Sikiliza.
kwanza, afu nitarudi.
Yes, anasema a Tanzanian where all children receive equitable, quality and inclusive education. Yes.
Naomba kwenye receive tuseme access.
Access, yes.
Sasa itatosha.
Ndio maana ya group way.
Itatosha hapa.
Au tutafutie weka anza juu alafu utaandika nyingine. Au tutumie peni. Hapo hapo juu. Hiyo maka. Andikia blue. Baada kiingia kidogo ndani ya shida. Blue ndio ingekuwa nzuri. Sio kuna jeusi. Hiyo Tanzania. We only copying Tanzania. Tanzania. Where all children children yuko vizuri sasa. Access.
Ilifundisha na pili.
Very good. Safi sana. Equitable. Quality. And inclusive education.
Yeah.
Okay. Kwa Tanzania iko huko children wako hapo.
Mtengeneze na nyusi. Mtengeneze nyusi. Sasa tunasubiria muda kwa hiyo mtendezeshe. Anasema robot wa sasa ni nzuri. Sio wanakuwa kama watu.
Kama nani wale mnasahau yule Sofia.
Robot Sofia. Ulimuona? Nzuri sana. Unaweza kumwamkia.
Jana iko hapo.
Jana hiyo appliances. Roboti wetu amejipaka na ile rangi anajipakaga kina mama ile. Uso wake unakuwa kama mzungu. Kwa hiyo
foundation
foundation. Sawa, ndo safi.
Muongeza na black black.
Mweke kiini cheusi cha macho. Maka pen nyeusi kwanza. Mweke kiini. Chukua maka pen. Tena kubandika.
Wow.
Naomba kila group waende kubandika. Let's go and what is this? Paste our paper on that wall so we can see our one RELI robot. Vale.
Bring the head.
Bora pale. Can we get the head?
Bring the head here. Bring the head right there. Up there. Someone who is taller. Yani that's my
Okay. Tumweke robot wetu. The heart of the robot. Okay. Where's the heart? Where's the second piece?
Bring the hat.
Anasema iko hapa.
Bring the hat. Leta moyo. Bring the hat.
Where's the heart, Yamani? The heart. Bring the legs. First we need the heart.
Bring the hat, please. Bring the hat.
Lete robot. Ile nyimbo ilikoje?
Lete roboti.
Lete roboti.
Lete roboti.
Come on.
Lete roboti. Lete roboti.
Lete roboti. Lete roboti. Sasa mikono isijitaka.
Okay, tukishaweka ondoka.
Weke hapo chini tu.
Hebu
weke hapa chini tu. Mweke chini yake. Kamunyenye za watoto. Okay, tupate.
Okay, leave work with your robot. Adija, unaonaje? Mtuachie robot. Tutamfanyia kazi. Okay, come closer. We want to wrap this up. So this, no, it's not time for pictures yet. It might need some changes. Okay, good. So who wants to explain to us what did you come up with?
Hello. Mbona speakers zinazunguka kidogo? So hii ndo kichwa yetu. This the head of the robot, and the robot is beautiful kwa sababu robot wa siku hizi nowadays we create beautiful robots. We don't create robots wenye sura mbaya mbaya. So we envision a society where all children access equitable, quality, and inclusive education. And we have combined all the keywords from all of the groups. So we came up with this one. Thank you.
Okay, so from the chest, as you can see, our t-shirt is really beautiful. We have tried to merge different words from the four robots. The first one that we came up as our core activity is capacity building. And then we came up with police influence, learning and sharing, evidence generation, innovation and scaling up best practices, advocates, increase RELI members, extending funding streams, and joint networking initiative. And with joint networking initiative, we want it to be locally and internationally. Thank you.
Okay, the other one? Yes. Who did this one? That's what we need. This group, they... Okay.
Okay, so most of the issues here originate from what other groups have said. Okay, the first is policy influence will continue. are to be considered in the next 5 years, evidence-based. But here, the evidences will be coming from the organizations, member organization, what have been collected by them, then we will take them as the evidence for our policy influence. The second is capacity building. This is because we need evidences that are concrete, that are real, and functional. That's why we need to capacitate member organizations so that we can come up with these data that we can use them for the policy influence. But here we have some, here at first we said that we needed to transform, but now we have changed. We needed to strengthen because some of the organizations cannot be transformed because they have their own vision and so on. So at least we have tried to go a step forward, strengthening. And the last, generating and sharing evidence is the knowledge hub. Most of the issues that we will generate from A and B should have to be shared. Yes, we will remain to be the knowledge hub for issues of advocacy and some other issues that will be related to our work.
Thank you. Thank you. The rest? You're doing this? Okay. Quick.
Now I'm hitting the last nail. Okay, so here are the legs. Okay, that is what carries the whole of this person. Now, from all the groups, we got a lot of these ones appearing. Collaboration, trust, empowerment, equity, respect, learning. As a matter of practice and experience from this 5 years journey, we learned that specifically for RELI Tanzania, we have been stressing, and also people have already had this sense of trust, and collaboration has appeared throughout this convening. We all saw that coming out clearly. Equity as well is coming up, though not perfect. Respect has been there, that's why we still work together, and also learning is taking place. But again, despite the fact that only one group mentioned accountability, but as we were trying to reflect, we thought that we really need the accountability now moving forward. Because even if we trust each other, we respect each other, then we have some obligation to do. If we don't do it, that means we are not accountable. We don't feel responsible to carry the vision forward. So we think because it's cross-cutting, this should be a new value to be added in the RELI values. Thank you.
And we should start preaching now on the accountability aspect as the new value of RELI, which is cross-cutting to all aspects. You will feel responsible when you're given an assignment in your cluster, when you want to do anything. At the end of the day, we'll have the mechanism to provide explanation and justification for what we have committed to do and not done as expected. So this is the new value, and we thought probably it could add value to our values, to what we want to achieve as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
But again, clarification. The equity and the equality, we are equally weighing up the same. But we decided to pick equity because oh yeah? You love it.
Okay. Good. Good. So thank you very much. That was quite an interesting. Yes. To my view, it's a suggestion that is coming up. We still have a way to build it up and then come to a consensus. Yeah. So one thing that we need to differentiate is the values from clusters. They are two different things. So the values are the values and the clusters are the clusters. Right? Yes. Exactly.
me, I don't think if there will be any contemplating and a push to jeopardize the cluster or the value of accountability. There will be in a way one applies internally and the other one outside the model. Okay. So
good.
It's up to how you figure out that model. Exogenous is determined or endogenous determined.
Thank you very much. So now we want to be, me and Adija want to do a bit of a reflection on this exercise. We have done quite a good well. We have done well. And congratulations to all of us. Okay. Good. Congratulations. This has actually been a tremendous exercise. I could say, I don't know, I'm just, so happy for this. I'm trying to see myself, where will I be in RELI? As by virtue of my position, if this is all done, then what will it be? And then what will each organization be proud of as a result of this exercise? When we see RELIs flying, when we see, all these aspects are coming together. So what we have actually observed, each group has worked quite well. And when we were doing the presentations, me and Adija didn't sit down and say ourselves, are there issues that we see that have not come out strongly? And probably when they're going to work together, the hands group, the heart group, and whatever, they need to reflect. We didn't do that. So there's a bit of the way we envisioned it to be, particularly, this is coming out very well. So there are two things that we need to talk about the heart. So, Hadija, do you want to help me with that? Okay, I can go ahead, but okay, cool. So, with the heart, hello, I want to emphasize on this because tomorrow morning we'll have that session that we have eaten its time this evening. TGs will sit on their own. So I want to emphasize on that because you will have also to address that. So when we spoke about the heart, it's actually the issues. So if you have noticed, let me open this up. You will see that there's a lot that is coming here and here. It's the same. So what we were thinking about the heart are actually the issues, the challenges. You know what the heart can withstand? The issues. When you get bad news, you say, oh, my heart. Right? So we are talking about children not learning. How many born? How many children are not in school now? 3 million. These are the issues we want to see here. We are talking about girls missing classes. How many hours per week here? We are talking about parents not engaged issues. We are talking about lack of coordination, interministerial coordination here. We are talking about CSOs, data generation, non-traditional data providers not being recognized here. We are talking about coordination among ourselves. We don't talk to each other here. We are talking about being louder and showcasing evidence in meetings like this. In regular meetings, we don't show up here. The heart. So that's what we want to kind of be at the heart. And then we go to the arm. We have done it quite well. And then here we have done it quite well. So everything should actually be able to see what is at the heart and then how to move forward with that so that we can address it. So tomorrow, as we sit into the TGs, let's look into the issues. If you are on equity, look on the issues around what you're focusing, what you have been able to do, and what you think you can do further. In accountability, in teachers and development, and in value. So I don't want us to redo this, but I want this to be done in TGs. So don't focus on the vision. Don't focus on this. Don't focus on the issues. For tomorrow's session, you'll have half an hour to sit in your TGs. Please bring them up. You will help really myself and everyone who will be sitting there trying to come up with the draft of the strategy I'll just go to this robot and see what the members say. And then probably ask you for another meeting, which can be even online. Are we sure that this is the thing that we want to do? Right? So I'm asking you to at least spend that half an hour to 1 hour tomorrow, come up with this. Yep. Is Faraja your question?
I'm a bit. I am concerned with. Do we want to have the national strategy at a national level and then having the thematic groups adopt and customize it based on the thematic areas, or do we want to have thematic groups develop their own activities and then having them inform the national strategy? I'm a bit. I have that concern. Actually, tunaongea Dr. Mena sasa hivi kwamba you have a typical example of the suggestion you're giving now, like we're having the policy reform and the curriculum reform happening at the same time, while we should have the policy reform first. And the policy reform, the new policy can then influence the type of curriculum we can have. So I really think, and I would advise, we have a national approach, at least with the vision and mission and strategic objectives, and then thematic groups can now later on have their own thematic activities or thematic approaches based on the strategic objectives that we have as RELI Tanzania. And my hope is, because this is a regional network, would have the same approach at a regional level, vision and mission and strategic objectives from the region, which can cascade to the national and then ultimately to the thematic groups.
Yeah, I think that's a really great reflection, and I think it speaks to how we want to address the issues. But what we wanted to, or we're asking about here, is what are the issues? First, thinking about that. What can be adopted, what each thematic group will focus on will be what they decide.
Yeah. I think the question here, which actually I might be aligning with Faraja, do we think strategically bottom up or up bottom? Because now, yeah, because
Children can't learn. That is not necessarily one thematic group's issue. That's everybody's issue and everybody's issue, right? So it's about establishing what is the main issue that we're talking about. So then we can, as thematic group, whatever thematic groups they will be that we decide, feed into that main issue. So I think we're talking about maybe about the same thing, but maybe in a different way, because you have to identify the issue first, and then you develop the strategy around that issue.
up to this point, I think we have all together identified this. We have all together identified all this. And we have all together identified this. I think now, I see the worry from Faraja. You probably want how do we strategically now ensure that all these clearly agreed, especially on the issues, as RELI nationally, and then from there, we might be converging in our clusters to see how this cluster or the formation of new clusters to respond to a certain issue, and then what would you do in terms of learning, policy influencing, data generation, that aspect as well. Unaiona hiyo? Kwa hiyo inaweza kawa nani kwamba if we agree on this as RELI TZ, then we could move on to task ourselves. Do you think accountability cluster still valid? Life skills, is that an issue now? It's not an issue. So there's no need to have a life skill. TDS, there's no issue of teachers here. You seen?
Okay,
Sababu, mmeambiwa issues, you were asked to mention issues in education. And then the issue of teachers and teaching didn't come out. The issue of accountability and financial management and everything it's not here. It came as, you see, the issue of equity. Probably the system in education is not responding to children of special need. That could have been an issue.
So, thank you, Bon. Thank you, Bon. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing from Khadija, from all of you, is that probably we might need to work on issues again. So should we work together in this room as we did, just on issues, and kill the TG session? Or should we bring up the issues in the thematic group session and then we will share them here? Yes, Devota?
Finish the first thing first. Let's have clear issues. Because that way, we have clear issues together. Then when we go to TGs, we are clear with the direction.
Good. In that case, do you...
Through all these issues. These are not issues in education sector. But people were mentioning this in bullet 1. The issues, the challenges in the education sector. So probably it wasn't understood. We can redo. We focus on the issues, especially bullet 1.
So, yes. So, everybody, please, we'll come up with a way on which we'll bring up the issues tomorrow, and then we'll proceed. So, for now, we want to close up, and then we will actually depart this room. But I want one person to say a word. Sister Karibu.
Hello? Hello? Please, we ask you to sit down. Clap your hands if you hear me. Clap twice if you hear me. Sit down if you hear me. We have been with us having a very important guest from the government. Let me ask Dr. Mariam, our country lead. I give you this honor to invite her so that she can address us, and then that will mark the end of our day. Please, as you go to rest, think about the current issues. From my observation is that this is how we had perceived, but now we are perceiving differently. So in the morning, we shall start with that. Please, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Maybe before I invite our guest, I would like to appreciate Hadija and Kapinga for a great session. So if you see a piece of paper in front of you, like if you can grab a piece of paper, write nice words, and then I will tell you what to do. Quick, just half a minute. Quick. Hadija, where are you? You're here. Okay, so write nice word, Hadija for Hadija and Kapinga, quickly. Just this one. Just pick a piece of paper and then just write nice word for them. Nice. Whatever you want to write about Hadija and Kapinga to show that you appreciate. And then I'll tell you what to do. 1 minute. Quick, please, because we have used a lot of time, so we have to kind of go and relax, and tomorrow we come here fresh. Tayari, 1 minute, nice one. So once you do that, squish your paper. Hadija, she's also writing about Kapinga, and Kapinga have to do that. And then squish your piece of paper. Ready? Can you stand up? Can you stand up, please? Yeah, and then Kapinga and Hadija, can you come here? No, it is not meant to be stone. It's like assume like you are throwing flowers to them. See, so those are flowers. So throw to them on their way, and then they will read at their own time, please. Woo! You see? Yeah, okay. So they will read them at their own time. Can someone pick for them, and then they will sit down and read? Thank you very much for that. And now, I want to, you don't know how to throw little balls. And now I want to invite our guest who was here since morning with us. She's a representative from Tanzania Institute of Education. And here she is, Mrs. Mwanahamisi. She says something because she's been here with us all day. Thank you very much, and you're welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. Kama alivyonitambulisha, naitwa Mwanahamisi Jokolo kutoka Tanzania Institute of Education. Kwa hiyo nimefurahi sana kuwa na nyie leo kwa siku ya leo. It is amazing. Nimejifunza mengi sana. Thank you so much. Kwa hiyo naomba nisiongee mengi kwa sababu najua watu mmechoka kwa siku nzima ya leo. Ila Tanzania Institute of Education tunaendelea kupokea maoni kuhusu curriculum review. So kuna curriculum review is going on. Kwa hiyo tunapokea maoni kuhusu curriculum. Na pia Wizara ya Elimu inapokea maoni kuhusu policy review. Kwa hiyo karibuni sana kwa maoni. Thank you so much.
Asante sana, madam. So it was an honor having you the whole day. And as we close up and get back to our residence, enjoy your evening. If you happen to have a walk, please do so to stretch a bit. So those who have an announcement, please, to everybody. If you happen to have a receipt, a boat receipt, a bus ticket, a boarding pass, or whatever, submit it to Benedicta. Otherwise, that is accountability, right? It won't be counted. And you know what I mean. So please do that. Enjoy your evening. Goodbye.
Hadija is reading the things. So do you want to read it? Thank you.
Oh, someone has written nothing. So what does this mean? There are so many hugs here. Oh. Oh. Good session. Okay.